Welcome to Camnet TV Midday News. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. The headlines. President HH petitioned to lift former President Edgar Lungu's immunity. Citizens protest demanding action on housing development. Join me with the details after this commercial.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
And now the media news in detail. A university teaching hospital secretary, Hannes Kalasaula, has told the Lusaka High Court judge, Joshua Banda, that the Mercedes-Benz alleged to belong to the late veterinary, Dr. Evans Mwengwe, was dismantled at her home in Lusaka's Chilenje area by two of the accused persons. Ms. Kalasaulu testified that on the 14th of June 2021, her mechanic, Joseph Temple, who she had known for over 5 years, had requested to park the alleged Mercedes-Benz at her yard for safety. The witness explained that she was not aware that the vehicle was stolen, hence granted his request, but told him to only spend 2 days doing his job. Kalasaulu was testifying in a matter in which Kenan Jared, 23, a businessman, Keegan Zulu, 38, a businessman, and Doris Ndumba, 23, a student, and Joseph Tembo, 42, a mechanic, are alleged to have murdered Dr. Mwengwa after he gave them a lift from Kabwe to Lusaka.
Trial in the murder case of veterinary doctor Evans Mwengwe has continued before the Lusaka High Court, with more witnesses appearing before court to connect the dotted piece of evidence of how he was murdered. The deceased is alleged to have been killed after he offered a lift to 4 people from Kawe to Lusaka. The said 4, among them a 23-year-old female student, have been implicated in this murder case. Kenan Jerry, 23, a businessman, Keegan Zulu, 38, a businessman, Doris Ndumba, 23, a student, and Joseph Tembo, 42, a mechanic, have also been accused of stealing a Mercedes-Benz, a phone, 2 bags of maize, and a laptop after they allegedly committed the same murder. The court Friday morning heard testimony from Hannes Kalasaula, a secretary at the University Teaching Hospital, who testified that on the 14th of June 2021, her mechanic Joseph Tembo, whom she had known for over 5 years, requested that he parks a Mercedes-Benz at her yard for safety as he wanted to work on the vehicle. She testified that on the said date, Joseph Tembo and Keegan Zulu went to her place in Chilenje around 19 hours, where they started dismantling the said Mercedes-Benz and informed her that the owner of the vehicle was in urgent need of the money and could not wait until morning to dismantle it. She testified that the 2 accused persons had removed all the 4 tires of the vehicle and the battery, among other things. 3 days later, Joseph and Keegan and a guy named Lion are alleged to have gone to the witness house to pick up the dismantled parts of the vehicle. Joseph had earlier informed the witness that a guy named Lion was the buyer of the said vehicle, hence he was going to remove it from her yard, as he had only requested to park the vehicle in her yard for only 2 days. In concluding her examination in chief, the witness said she had no idea that the said Mercedes-Benz Keegan and Joseph had parked at her yard was stolen. In the last session, the court had testimony that a shoelace was found around Dr. Mwenge's neck, believed to have been used to strangle him, and that he was found partially bent. Trial in the matter continues on the 19th of November 2021. Miriam Kemba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Two civil society organizations championing for better housing have delivered a petition to the Ministry of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development demanding better housing infrastructure. Speaking when they delivered the petition to the ministry Friday, team representative Joyce LUNGU'S says residents in densely populated areas are distressed from poor housing, which becomes a disaster in the rain season. And in responding to the petition, Housing and Infrastructure Acting Permanent Secretary Richard Banda says the petition delivered will receive government's attention as housing is a very critical basic human right. The two organizations are the People's Process on Housing and Property in Zambia and Zambia Homeless and Poor People's Federation.
They marched in numbers to deliver a petition to the Ministry of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development demanding better housing infrastructure, good road network, quality supply of electricity, among many other challenges they face in their different localities in Lusaka. And a representative from People's Process on Housing and Poverty in Zambia says the resources allocated to the ministry is not adequate to tackle the challenges they face.
I think muona mvula yamene yapwera manyumba yambira kugwa ni vanhu va mkomboni Kalikiliki, George, Chawama, Misisi ndiye vanhu vari mu problem na maflat na tumanyumba twawo kugwa.
Concerned, we're actually quite disappointed that we only got 1.4% of the national pay, which was there for being shared housing and other social amenities. We believe this ministry should be well resourced.
Others have also lamented over the challenges they face in their localities and are worried that if the matter is not well addressed, the rain season will bring many disasters to their areas.
Like water, it's like electricity and housing. Sometimes if the rain is raining, you find like the houses are already flooded with a lot of
food, like amboloka manyumba ambia kugwa mwa George. But then zile kumanti.
But then it's the kumpana panzi ya chipa. So when we have a good drainage system, which means zangara tipe matika makombo na manzi.
Kudi mitwalawo chita apply land ndani apply ku council to file land varanda chi mulete ama ndani kade ama bank statement mulete fish taturekwanisha. Naso chituromba kubuteko uchati benga twafisha kwanga kudi land bapera kwa abalanda basanga kwa pa kuikala ubuchushi na buchiramo.
And in responding to the petition, Housing and Urban Acting Permanent Secretary Richard Banda, who represented Minister Charles Milupi, who was in Parliament at a time, has assured the people that their petition will be delivered to the relevant authorities and will receive the much-needed attention to ensure that their complaints are tabled.
The Minister, and on behalf of the Permanent Secretary, we've received your petition and it will definitely receive government attention. I think definitely as a ministry we recognize that housing is a very critical basic human right. And we've been working with stakeholders, including yourselves, in order to address the challenge of housing, especially amongst the low income or the poor communities of our country.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Vice President Mtalina Lumango has cautioned the opposition Patriotic Front members still in government against sabotaging the government, urging them to perform their duties professionally. She says sabotaging the government by the perceived PF supporters can not only disadvantage the government but the people of Zambia. Speaking during the Vice President's question and answer session in Parliament, Mrs. Nalumango said it is crucial for the people in government position to understand the vision of the government. Mrs. Nalumango says government will not be pushed to fire people perceived to have been employed by the former governing party, the PF, because if it does not want to address the issue in a haphazard way just to get rid of some people. The Vice President was responding to a question from Zambezi East Member of Parliament, Brian Kambita, who wanted to know why the UPND government is taking longer to fire PF civil servants whom he suspects of sabotaging the government's affairs.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So truly Zambians are concerned because it is important that in strategic positions people are put there that understand the vision, that are not fighting the vision of the government of the day because of the bias towards maybe a party that may not be in office. So we will do it, but we will do it well. He has referred, Madam Speaker, to the issue of ZESCO. The appointment of ZESCO is not up to the president. Appointing of the ZESCO management or director is not done by the president. It is done by the board. And therefore, the responsibility of the president, the responsibility of the minister is to have the board in place. And we have not been running to just put there, fill these boards with cadres. We want professional work. And therefore, ZESCO has had the board appointed. So if there is a need to remove the current MD, it shall be done and be done properly. That goes for every other official, senior official sitting in government office. They'll be removed properly, lawfully. We are not going to be lawbreakers, but surely we expect people still in offices to function for Zambia and not to act, like saboteurs. Because if you do something wrong, you are not doing that thing wrong against the President Hakainde. You are doing something wrong against the Zambian people. So as long as you remain there, before you are removed, if you are to be removed, do the work properly. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Some United Party for National Development members have presented a petition to State House demanding that President Hakainde Hichilema lifts the immunity of former President Edgar Lungu. Former UPND presidential campaign team member Vene Hajombwa said Mr. Lungu is not above the law for him not to be subjected to investigations. And UPND Lusaka District Information and Publicity Secretary Matomola Likanya says Mr. Lungu's immunity should be lifted to pave way for investigations in various alleged corruption cases. Mr. Likwanya feels the former president should be investigated for allegedly having been involved in various corruption activities and abuse of office during his tenure.
They call themselves concerned citizens who want justice to prevail. Friday, 12 November 2021, they held a procession to State House demanding that President Hakainde Hichilema raise a motion to lift former President Edgar Lungu's immunity. Former UPND presidential campaign team member Vene Hajombwa said Mr. Lungu is not above the law for him not to be subjected to investigations.
We've told the president to say, in 2015, Mr. Edgar Lungu, against the constitution of our land, allowed his ministers to stay in office illegally, consuming taxpayers' money. Yes. When Kanyama Clinic has got no medicine. I think those are some of the things that we aligned in this petition to the president, and we humbly know that His Excellency, being a listening president, on behalf of the people of Zambia, will listen. Lastly, to my side, Mr. Edgar Lungu will not be the first one in this country. We had Mr. Chiluba's immunity being lifted and he was investigated. Yes. So why won't Mr. Edgar Lungu's immunity be lifted today when there are issues bending behind him? So we want his immunity to be lifted as soon as possible.
And UPND Lusaka District Information Publicity Secretary Matomola Likwanya says Mr. Lungu's immunity should be lifted to pave way for investigations in various alleged corruption cases.
Constitution of the Republic of Zambia, Article 43, and amended in 2016, Article 98, does provide that the President can pass a motion in the National Assembly of removal of a former head of state. Therefore, our grounds that we are advancing today are that former President Dr. Edgar Chagwa-Lungu has been mentioned in acts of terrorism. Some Rwandan rebels testified before the courts of Rwanda that they were sponsored by former President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu. We also hold the view that former President Dr. Edgar Chagwa-Lungu abused institutions of governance, such as the DMOMU, the police, such as the courts.
He is hopeful that the president will act on their demands.
Answers on the illegal exportation of mukura to Malaysia. Yes. They are demanding answers on the procurement of the presidential jet. Yes. They demand answers to the fire tenders. Yes. The Zambian people are demanding answers to the recruitment of Chinese in the Zambia police service. Yes. The Zambian people, they demand answers to the people that gassed the Zambian people. Yes. These answers can only be answered by the former head of state, yes, who is closely attached to these issues, such as the Anibi scandal, yes, yes, such as the building of the expired drugs. Yes. Yes. Therefore, we call upon the president, because he's a listening president, to listen to the pride of the Zambian people.
However, some Patriotic Front members and other non-state actors have been opposing the move.
I think it would be uncalled for Parliament to take such an action, or for people to call for such an action. I think you and me believe and understand that President Lungu has done the best he could for this country.
So I want to call upon the Zambian people to understand that there has never been a time when a president, the immunity is lifted and they win the case. Let's look at Chiluba's case. He was acquitted. Arabi's case, he was acquitted.
Records indicate that two of Zambia's former head of state have had their immunity lifted, including Opia Banda in the year 2013 and the late Frederick Chiluba in the year 2002. Will former President Edgar Lungu become the next casualty? For now, we can only wait and see how President Hichilema will respond. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
That news item brings us to the end of Camnet TV Midday News, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. President HH petitioned to lift former President Edgar Lungu's immunity. Citizens protest demanding action on housing development. Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.